Hey everyone, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to build this stunning frosted glass navigation bar with Gooey gravity particle effect using just HTML, CSS and JavaScript. This effect is eye-catching, modern and fully interactive, perfect for your next portfolio or landing page. Let's get started. Inside the body, we have a main container which ID is app. Inside the main container, we have a h1 element which text is frosted glass Gooey gravity nav. Below the H1 element, we create a nav element which will act as our navigation bar. Inside the nav, we add an unordered list using UL and we give it a class of navigation. Inside the list, we create a 5 li element, one each for home, about, services, portfolio, and contact. Each li contain an A tag with an icon and a span tag for the label. These icons are added using font awesome classes like FA Home, FA User, and so on. Finally, after the nav, we add a div with the class of effect and two more nested div, one with the class filter and one with the class text. These will be used for the GUI animation and the current navigation label display. Inside the body selector, we set both margin and padding to 0 to remove any default browser spacing. Then we apply the Nunito Sans font to give the page a clean modern look. Next up is our main nav element. We use display flex to align its child item horizontally. Position relative allows us to position pseudo element like before and after over it. We use transform translate 3D 0.1 pixel and opacity 0.99 to trigger GPU rendering and fix minor flickering issues in some browsers. The background of the navbar use HSL with a very low opacity 0.1 to create a dark transparent piece. Then backdrop filter blur 9 pixel brightness 1.1. Give it that frosted glass feel by blurring the background behind it. We add a border radius of 100 VW to make it fully rounded. Some padding 0.4 EM for spacing. To add visual depth, we include multiple layers of shadows using box shadow. The shadow combine outer and inner effect, giving a glowing soft glass-like appearance. We use both regular and inset shadow with various opacities and blur strength to make the navbar stand out. Now let's add texture. The nav before and nav after pseudo element bring in a noise mask using a PNG image from an external URL. These images are applied as mask image using mask mode luminance, so only the light parts are visible. This gives our navbar a dynamic grainy texture. In both nav before and nav after, we apply additional backdrop filter, a border radius, and layering using z-index. They add an extra blurred and shiny look on top of the navbar, simulating reflective light and enhancing the 3D feel. Now inside NavUL, we use display flex and gap 5 pm to space the menu item out nicely. We remove bullet point with list style none and reset the padding and margin. The z-index 3 ensure the link sit above the background and effect layers. Each list item NavUL li is styled with padding, a pill shape, border radius 100 VW, and a smooth transition. When the item receives focus, we show a light border by applying box shadow dynamically. This enhances accessibility and interaction. The NavUL li after is used to create a glowing animated effect behind the active item. Initially, this layer is hidden with opacity 0 and scale 0, but when the active glass is applied, it smoothly scale in and become visible using transition. When a menu item is active, we switch its text color to black and remove the text shadow for contrast. The link itself NavUL LIA is transformed to uppercase and stripped of any default text decoration. Now let's talk about the effect class. This is a fixed position element used for interactive mouse effect. It has a width and height of 0 initially, is placed at the top left and is hidden from pointer events. Its center using place item center. Effect text and effect filter are two versions. Text handle the foreground label that animate from white to black when active. The filter class contain a blur and contrast filter to simulate a glowing aura. Filter before, we use a large black background with blur and contrast to emphasize the light blending. Particle container and its particle and point children are used to create circular glowing particles that animate outward from the center. These animations are defined with custom keyframe, particle, and point. At the rate keyframe particles handle rotating and translating the particles with opacity transition, giving them a spiraling effect. The at the rate keyframe point handle pulsing scale and fade out for each dot. Root pseudo element define a custom timing function named linear ease, which use a fine-tuned linear progression for smoother animation. At the end, we set the full page height using body HTML and ID app. ID app element is styled using grid layout and set with a beautiful background image. The layout has 3 rows, 2 for content and 1 for the navbar. We also target all anchor links inside hash app to remove outline and color changes during interaction, keeping the color consistent. Finally, we use H1 styling to give our heading a rich layered shadow effect for extra glow and readability. In JavaScript, we select the nav element from the DOM. We'll use it to target and control the navigation item inside it. Please grab two special elements with classes, effect filter, and effect text. These are the visual overlay container that hold the particle effect and the animated label. Animation time for the base time of animation, P count for the number of particles, minimum distance and maximum distance are the range for particle movement, maximum rotate or maximum rotation angle, color scores connected to CSS variable, and time variance adds randomness to animation time. Function noise n is equal to 1 returns a random number from minus n by 2 to plus n by 2 for organic randomness in animation. Function get xy distance point index total point. This function helps to calculate x and y position for each particle in a circular layout using trigonometry and add some noise for a natural look. This function generates the animated particle inside the given element $E1. Here we define two distances and a rotation based value. We calculate a final animation time for a particle movement. We apply that timing to the element using CSS custom property time. We now loop through each particle, creates its animation data, then build HTML span element dynamically. Each particle get random position, scale, rotation, and color. Inside the set timeout, we build the particle span like this. Each particle CSS variable are set dynamically. This control how it animate from start to end. After the animation duration, we remove the particle from the DOM to keep things clean. This helper function generates data for each particle, start and end position, animation time, scale, color, and rotation. Everything is randomized slightly for a natural effect. Function updates the size and position of the effect layer to match the currently active navigation item. It also updates the text content for the highlight. This function activates the click nav item. It removes old particle, set the new active item, and trigger new particle creation. We add click and key down event listener to each li item so users can trigger the effect by clicking or pressing enter space from the keyboard. We use a resize observer API to reposition the effect whenever the layout changes. It keeps the effect aligned to the active item. Finally, after a short delay, we activate the first nav item by default so the animation runs on page load. That's it. We built a modern, interactive, and visually satisfying Frost glass navigation bar with Gooey gravity animation. Like and subscribe for more creative HTML, CSS, and JavaScript project. Thanks for watching.